Hey there, I'm Tracy Rigdon, and this is the Contrast Project Lounge podcast. Often random, but always relevant, always real, and practically nothing is off limits. This podcast is for you. Are you ready for this? Let's do it. Welcome back to our live stream podcast episode. This will be our third episode, Jim?
That I've done with you, yeah.
Okay, and so how you doing, Jim?
I'm sorry you broke up. Your internet just freaked out.
Oh, we flickered a little. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Been a very busy week,
Yep.
But just working and walking my dog, walking my dogs, and and working and sleeping. That's been pretty much it. And working on some music and stuff.
Well, great,
About it, really.
great. Well, tonight's topic, we had talked about it before, mental health in the digital age and its impact on, society. And one of those things, right at the top of the list with that, and it's not the only thing, it's just a piece of the puzzle, but, the impact of social media on mental health. And that starts at a young age. I mean, it affects not only young folks, but it works its way right up the genial ladder.
Yeah, I think that's a little bit of a misconception too, is because we're always kind of wanting to go, oh well, this X, Z, whatever, Gen Z or whatever,
Yeah,
and they're doing this and they're doing that, and, they're walking around just taking a walk with the phone in their face and walking their phone with their dogs, etc. But it's really not just them. It really isn't.
No.
I mean, I've seen some people my age, centuries old, sitting at the restaurant having breakfast together, both with their heads in their phones, not saying a word to each other.
Right. Well,
so it's I don't think it's just a young people thing. I think they're being raised that way, and it's changing their social skills. So the older folks already have their social skills ingrained in them, but eventually that's all going to change,
It is. It's changing the landscape of, communication. Like you say, their social skills. Well, if they get to the point where they are become isolated, that their social skills start to diminish, then they become more and more isolated. Then their social skills diminish even further, to where they rarely have any actual human contact, and the only contact they have, and I'm not saying all, I'm just saying some, there's no longer a phone call involved. There's just emojis and sending each other memes and,
Yeah. Hey, Tracy, every time I text you something, I get a thumbs up. Look who's talking.
I know. That instant gratification thing.
Every question you ask me from now for the rest of the interview, I'm going to go.
Yeah.
So look, yes, go ahead. Sorry.
No. I was going to say it. It's part of that. The mindset of where we're going with instant gratification. There's no time for any. You'll see sometimes if you're texting with someone, and you'll see the little bubble at the bottom of your screen moving. Person is texting, and then it'll stop, and then you'll get
on the edge of my seat waiting to see what they type,
and then you get one of these.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah. There was a time when emojis first came out. I used to write emoji stories, one line at a time, and I would just, show a tree, and then I'd show a dog, 10 spaces away from the tree, and then the next would be closer to the tree, and the next would be closer, and then the next he'd be peeing on the tree because there's a little water. That's my dogs. Um, they have something to say about this
I
because,
know.
hey, Sky, what are you barking about? So they actually have something to say about it because if I'm laying in bed and I'm at the Sky, my dog is barking. Um, if if I pick up my phone, Sama gets off the bed and goes crawls on his little mattress in the corner. Literally, he's just like, you're not paying attention to me, so thumb down. He sends me a thumbs down.
Conversation over there.
They're going. Nothing I can do about that.
It's all right. It's all right.
That's
Now,
enough, guys.
one of the things, another
So
one of the things about social media, it's social media in and of itself, and it goes even deeper than social media too. The AI technology that we've been talking about, but on social media, the effects of its usage, including comparison, validation seeking, or another biggie is the fear of missing out, FOMO. When people
yeah,
see they've their social media pages are flooded with all these events and things that are going on, and they may be isolated away with no money or this or that, or and this really doesn't matter
yeah,
what age they are, but then they've seen this
yeah.
overabundance of uh, events, whatever, and then this
Sure.
fear of missing out starts weighing heavy on them.
Well, I mean, yes, and there's like people will post, happy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of goes from one extreme to the other. I had this happy day. What a wonderful thing happened. I've done the same thing. I got up, I swam the ocean for a mile and a half in the sunrise. It was beautiful. And people think I must have a beautiful life, right?
Mm-hmm.
But no, I really don't because I only post my happy stuff. I don't like wear my heart on my sleeve on Facebook
Yeah.
and or whatever media,
Right.
anywhere actually. But then there's the other extreme where there's those posters that'll put that's all they do is put their heart on their sleeve and
A
oh
lot
what a
of it.
miserable thing, oh what da, 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 da. And I'm not saying we shouldn't empathize. I'm just saying that you get this scanted view
Right.
of what life is like, and not everybody's
Mm-hmm.
happy and not everybody's sad,
Yeah.
and and uh, and you do see all these events, and you kind of like, oh, and I'm guilty of this too, so I'm not like saying this about everybody but me. I mean, I do the same thing. I'll go through. That's why I quit using it so much. I'll go through and I'll see all these events coming up, and I'm like, God, I'm sure I'm missing out. But it's a compound effect with the explosion of social media and all the different social media platforms on top of COVID and
Oh.
having to isolate.
Mm-hmm.
It really kind of put a magnifying glass on the whole issue of socialization and connectivity. Because I remember, when the internet was fairly new and we were talking about how the whole world's going to be connected, but it really did the opposite, I kind of think. What do you think?
Sure. Yeah, you're absolutely correct. There's an onslaught of information that, for the most part, has very little effect on your individual life. There's like this whole, lately this whole Taylor Swift effect. It has no impact on you and me, really. But it's like
No,
it's
but
it's like the only thing that's
everybody
been,
wants to talk about it,
but
Tracy.
it's been the only thing on the news feeds for like ever since
Yeah,
she started dating Kelsey. So
yeah, yeah.
but
Well,
but
it didn't make any news when. Yeah,
yeah.
it didn't make any when I broke up with Taylor Swift. It didn't make any news.
Oh, it's it's something else. It is. Now, one thing, it was amazing too that I was thinking about, what we were going to talk about tonight. And I got up early this morning, was watching the morning shows, the morning news. I like to watch the morning news rather than just scroll through the internet first thing in the morning. So I make my coffee and I'm watching the morning shows. And one of the stories at the top of the hour, when they moved out of the news hour into the morning show, you know, one of the stories was one that was kind of a repeat story that you're starting to hear a lot of, is the role of cyberbullying and
Yeah.
online harassment, and it's happening. It's starting to take another uptick locally, and the number of teenage suicides has increased, and there has been, where they said
Mm.
that a lot of these teenagers that are taking their own lives had been isolated, spending a lot of time on their you know internet, but on their phone, um, loss of sleep. They were always, cranky and depressed and this and that. And then they felt that the only
Yeah.
way out was suicide. And they found out on their computers that they had been bullied by people, whether it be
Yeah.
school or
And
total
what a
strangers.
cowardly thing to do. You can't
Yeah,
even, they're not even brave enough to bully somebody in front of somebody. They got to
right,
hide behind the
right.
interweb. But this is the other side. Not only did it connect you and I over the internet,
Yeah.
or a lot of my swimming buddies or friends that I work with, but it also connected bullies
Hmm.
to the victims.
Yes. Yeah. It sure did. It sure did. And there are
And
misconceptions
I,
of
I
yeah, there are misconceptions out there. Like, we had been talking a lot lately, all of us within our circle, our little circle, the, the advances being made with artificial intelligence, AI, and AI is creeping its way in, not so slowly, but pretty rapidly, into the negative and propaganda meme machine. They're making memes,
yeah,
they're pumping them out, and some of these people that
there
are
was one
starting.
about somebody did Biden's voice on a robocall.
Yes, yes, yeah,
Did you hear about that?
I
It's
did.
like really weird.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
was I was I was working on a deep fake post. I was working on a picture of your head on Taylor Swift's body, but didn't come out too well, so I gave up.
I'm glad. I'm
So
glad.
yeah, uh,
Huh. Now, what about if you think about uh, the uh, the technology as a double-edged sword? Like we were talking about. There's good
big
stuff in
time.
it, but there's also, it's a double-edged sword. Like we just said, it's also
Yeah, I mean that's the
it's
same thing
bringing
we were
together
saying with
bullies.
Tim.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
That's the
Increase.
same thing we were saying with
Mm-hmm.
Damien and Reese and Tim Fielder last week on the show, was
Mm-hmm.
that you can use anything for evil.
Sure.
Seriously, you can use a spoon for evil. So you can't just blame the technology. It's really it's how humans decide to leverage the technology,
Right. Right.
or the scissor, or the knife, or their car,
Right.
or
Right.
their social media connection.
Yeah.
You
And
know,
and the they do the most damage when they're able to get that message or get that bullying or whatever it is, get those images through to someone who may be vulnerable, someone who's already maybe tipping
well,
the scales with their mental wellness.
when I did my first interview with you, we talked about bullying a little bit because I got bullied when I was a young man, young boy, and uh, and the first monologue I ever did on Tonight with Jamel Visa was all about that,
Hmm.
and so I totally relate to it, and I don't think I ever, excuse me, I ever wanted to leave this planet because of it, but it leaves a mark, you know,
Hmm. Sure it does. Sure it
and
does.
you have to think your way, you have to think your way through it,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know,
I
and
was
you
still,
just
I
carry it
was,
with you.
yeah, my sister and I were bullied quite a bit when we were growing up. We were the redheaded kids, in the class. She was a year ahead of me,
You were
but
the
boy,
ginger man.
yeah,
You
but
were a
yeah,
ginger man, weren't you?
I was a ginger man.
Yeah,
That's right, and we got picked on
yeah.
quite a bit for that, just because we had red hair. My hair used to be really red.
Really, what happened to it?
Well, it left me a couple of decades ago, actually.
You can just turn the saturation up on your camera and
Well,
turn
yeah,
up the
yeah.
warmth.
That's something.
Yeah,
Just to break the topic for a second. I got this really nice camera, but I have very little control over doing anything with it. It didn't come with any software.
yeah.
Pain in
Well,
the
we can
butt.
talk about that
Yeah. Okay.
later about the camera because there's tools. I'm using one right now. Takes the wrinkles out.
Yeah, I don't know what wrinkles are. Yeah.
Yeah, well, you're just one of those blessed
Oh yeah,
people.
right.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
What about
yeah.
when we're
So
talking?
I'm looking at I'm looking at
Yeah.
my
Go.
settings now right now. Just to
Yeah.
say, I'm looking at my settings right now, and I have the contrast way down, and I got the sharpness all the way down.
That'll do it, right?
So right,
Well, the recording will look good. It'll look good. It'll look good. Now, we were talking about the paradox, of connectivity, increased communication
sure.
versus feelings of isolation, that kind of thing. Well, there's also comes with
Hmm.
that too the addiction half, digital addiction, recognizing the signs and implications towards when, like you say, like we were talking about, when someone just spends so much time with their face buried in their phone or in their laptop, it has an effect
Hey,
on has
I
an
see it every day,
yeah.
and it kind of upsets me because as a dog owner, for example,
Mm-hmm.
I have two dogs. And we're walking down the street. I see other people with their dog or two dogs or three dogs, and they're walking down the street and they're doing this,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
They're not walking their dogs. They're walking their phone, and the dogs are tagging along,
Yeah.
right? And it's not safe for the dog. It's not safe for them, and they're
Yeah.
really not treating their pet that gives them so much love, you know,
Sure.
and that by just not paying attention.
Sure. Sure.
And Sama, my dog, as I was telling you before, has taught me not to use my phone when he's sitting next to me because he'll leave.
Well, there you go. There you go. I know. One of the ways. There comes a point that you have to have a strategy, and sometimes people can't find that strategy on their own, or getting away from digital technology as a whole, and we're talking quite a bit of, about social media now, but that seems to be one of the demons in the mix, for the most part. I know there's a lot of other technologies that play a part in that. When we were years and years ago, one of the big things with parents was trying to figure out what was an appropriate age to let your kid have a cell phone. And and that was way before. I mean, way before there were smartphones. I remember, my kids were early teens when I got my first flip phone, and there was nothing smart about that phone at all.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
so
Well, they're not really all that smart anyway.
no, no, no.
Yeah. The first time I had a portable phone
Yeah.
was one of those big Motorola's.
Mm-hmm.
I had a post production house and I was living in Arlington, Virginia, right across the Arlington Bridge
Mm-hmm.
in Old Town area. And we had a studio in the basement. And but there was I can't remember the name of the bar I'd go to, and I'd have a drink or get some fries or something. But I'd sit there at the bar with my big old Motorola phone that was about, I don't know, about this big,
Right.
and
Right.
uh, and I'd set it on the counter and I'd eat my fries, and I'm thinking, man, I'm going to really impress the ladies now.
Yeah, I was in a
What a
band.
fool!
One of my best friends years ago. We were in a band together for almost 20 years, and he had it was a big deal too. He had a mobile phone put in his. I think it was a GMC Jimmy, an older truck, and I swear and it had the curly cord on it and everything, and it was yeah about that big, and it had the cord attached to it and the antenna on top of the truck, and that was his mobile phone, and
Yeah.
that was a big deal, man. He'd pick that thing up and call. We'd be on the road, and he'd be on the phone, and he was just so happy, man.
Well, yeah,
I got me a mobile phone,
it was
man.
cool.
It
Yeah,
was cool.
but the thing about a mobile phone, that was a connector because we talk to each other.
Hmm.
But I don't like having conversations in text. It's like, okay, yeah, do you want to meet for lunch? 10:30. Okay, see you then. But that's one thing. But to have these like long conversations on text, I just don't do. I was like, I just type back, call me.
Right, right. Yep, yep.
I'm not gonna like sit here and type my brains out and try to get across my emotional state with an emoji. I'd rather
Well,
just talk on the phone.
right, right. Yeah. And of course now, young kids are getting, super sophisticated smartphones, yeah. I've seen real young teenagers walking around with 12, $1,300 iPhones and shit. Uh,
Yeah,
that's amazing to me.
yeah.
I don't know. I don't know.
Well, I mean, on the mental health side of it,
Yeah, right.
you know, I have a lot of experience with mental health, by the way. But on the mental health side of it, I just kind of see the way I'm affected by it. Like if I go to the coffee shop and I order a latte or something and I don't
Hmm.
get any eye contact, that upsets me because
Sure.
at least it makes me feel weird because I'm just so used to in my whole life, people looking you in the eye and we talk and they're not,
Right.
and as a bullied kid, when somebody won't give me eye contact, my first thought process is going to be, what did I do wrong? Did I say something bad?
Hmm.
Did they not like me? Um,
Hmm.
whatever. So
Yeah.
those are the thoughts that used to go through my head. Now I just realize that's what people do. They just don't look. I take walks. Some people, when I'm taking a walk with the dogs or just by myself, hey, how you doing? Hi, how's it going? Good to see you. Beautiful afternoon. And a lot of people are just head down,
Right.
looking at the sidewalk. They
Yeah.
won't even acknowledge your presence. And
Yeah.
I'm like, I have to get over that. It's hard for me to get over that.
Hmm. Hmm.
That's my mental health issue.
Well, yeah.
But I see a lot of people, you know, there's all kinds of twists and turns here, like the way say women are portrayed,
Yeah.
right? So then you'll find, and I know people that have been affected by this, where to be skinny and beautiful, right?
Hmm.
And so that's what they do, and then they end up hurting themselves,
Yes.
um, in some kind of anorexic form, one way or the other,
Or
and
cutting.
end up getting hospitalized or going to mental health
Hmm.
uh, facilities and stuff like that because they're taught that that's what they're supposed to look like. I don't remember who I was talking to the other day. I don't know if it was you or not, but it was like that's all just a sign of the times because
Hmm.
whatever happens to be beautiful now isn't what they thought was beautiful a century ago. You
Sure.
know, I
Sure.
mean, a century ago, they would always you would see, excuse me, the phrase "fair maiden,"
Right.
right? Right. So it was just cool to be really white
Hmm.
because that meant you wouldn't work in the fields, that you didn't toil outside,
Right. Right.
and so that was fashionable. That was beautiful. Plump was
Plump.
beautiful.
All the
Took,
Baroque
took a lot
paintings.
of Renaissance paintings.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Maybe it was you and I that were talking about that.
It could
But it
have
was
been.
so it's just really, and then all of a sudden, Copper Tone has got billboards all over the place
Yeah.
because it's cool to be tan now
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
have a washboard abs.
Yeah, times
So I don't
change.
know. So it
Yeah, the
just
times
changes
change.
with the times, right?
Yeah, yeah. And one of the good things, when I was just saying a minute ago, about, trying to come up with a strategy, to get away from it. And of course, if you're not able to, come up with a strategy on your own or with friends or family or what have you, then of course there's, professional help, professional therapy for depression and even having help. There's even therapists I know that actually help people with going through digital detox.
Sure. I mean, it's really a boom in the business, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a new thing, digital detox. And like I've
Yeah.
told you before, and you tell me that you have a way of getting away, not necessarily for digital detox, but just from getting away. You go swimming in the morning. You go open water swimming. I go out and go farming, and I'm out in my garden half the day,
And you,
almost every morning, with every single one of my damn cats. I got 14 cats.
and I remember too that you go out and you walk out back
Yeah,
into your on in your land there
mm,
barefoot to get
barefoot.
grounded.
Yep, I do. Yep.
Yeah.
I put my coffee
But
pot on and
sometimes you don't have that. Sometimes you just have
yeah.
to ground yourself and not have the ocean or your bare feet next to you, you know. I got the other day the other day I was at the dog park and
Hmm.
my dogs were playing with another dog and they got a little extra crazy and I can understand the other dog owner being upset by that, but she yelled at me and just kept yelling at me, and I just kind of like, oh, I'm gonna just stay calm. I said, you don't have to yell. I mean, I understand, blah blah blah, but she just kept get these dogs need to leave now. These dogs need to leave now. These dogs she just wouldn't stop saying that over and over again. Finally, I thought I said, like, kind of starts sounding like a broken record. you know I said, I'm sorry you're upset, and it'll be okay. They're dogs and that's what they do, right? So when I went home, so that left a ding in my day.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I kind of left, kind of, they call them energy vampires. They just kind of suck the energy out of
Oh
you.
yeah.
Kind of took that great mood I woke up in away from me. She took that away. And then I remembered something I remember when I was going to the ashram. So I started looking through all my notes and I found this page and it said, there was a sentence in it that I wrote. It says, like, I am sad. Then underneath it, it said, I am a container with sad in it.
Ah,
And I was like, that's
there
what I
you
forgot.
there you
It's
go.
less. I'm a container with sad in it, and I get to make a choice of what I want to do with that.
Hmm.
So I can witness it and then let it go. And well, like that passing cloud they talk about. Um,
Yeah.
and it's like, why was she yelling? Well, it had nothing to do with me. Maybe she had a bad day. Maybe somebody bullied her on social media. Who the heck knows, right?
Right. Right. Well, it is, and it's an ironic thing, uh, uh, the irony that I see in some of the, like I said, people, like you and I, we do our grounding in our own way, and it seems to level me out most of the time. But and then there's sometimes that people have to reach out for therapy, and there are therapists out there available to them. But the ironic part to me is there is a plethora of actual online support systems, therapy
Of,
systems.
of
So they're going online to get support for digital detox.
uh, that's that's a bit of a catch-22, isn't it?
No shit.
Uh,
Yeah, they're
yeah.
they're
Well, I
they're
see my therapist on Zoom.
well. Okay, all right. Well, I hadn't been to a therapist in quite. I haven't been to a therapist in quite some time. I'll tell you what. When I lived in Costa Rica, one of our neighbors was a guy from Sweden, and he had an online therapy practice. Eh, But he lived right down there. He lived down there, and most of his patients were in Sweden or in Germany or wherever. And this was several
Yeah.
years ago. This was like, oh gosh, 8 or 10 years ago, and he was doing it then and was very successful with it. Had a beautiful wife. They went scooting around town all the time on their little scooters, and were living the life down there in Costa Rica. And he would say, I've got to go home, Mr. Rigdon. I've got some therapy sessions this afternoon. I'm like, okay, you go right on.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
it's just, that's kind of cool though.
yeah.
I think, it's available to people that can't get around
Well,
or have a
sure.
tight work schedule and all that kind of stuff. I think
Uh,
in the end, when you look at everything we're doing on social media and the mental health problems that it may or may not cause, I think a lot of it has to do with that. I think in all of us, we're all aspiring to be
let's
something,
see. We have
you
somebody in
know,
the we have
be
somebody
that
in the room.
happy.
We have somebody in the room right now. Let me see who it is.
That's one side of it.
First side. We got you.
It wasn't easy.
Thanks for being a guinea pig.
Absolutely. Glad I could help out.
So,
So,
uh,
my
so
good
everybody
friend,
knows James and I work together.
yeah, Jim. Why don't you introduce James to the rest of us?
Well, I'm a James and he's a James, and we work side by side together. And he's James the Greater, when it comes to saints, and I'm James the Lesser.
Liar.
But I have a nickname for him. You ever hear people, when people say Xmas, they take and
Oh
they,
yeah,
they
yeah,
say,
yeah.
hey, that's bad. You take the Christ out of Christmas. Well, I took the Christ out of Christoforo, so I call him Exoforo.
True story.
True story. Well, there you go. There you go. Well, James, we're glad to have you
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
Uh,
Thank
so,
you. Glad to be part of the show.
oh, absolutely, absolutely. We were just going over. I don't know how long you were watching or anything, but we've been talking about the mental health in the digital age, and going over some of the things that have been you know really big in society, and we're getting up to the part where we were talking about people that are having issues with basically digital addiction, and it's come to a point where
Sure.
people young and old, it's across the spectrum, are getting to the point where isolation, their only contact with the outside world, one way or another, whether it be by choice or by something that has clicked in their head, and they no longer have the social skills needed you know to be with other people, and so they get to the point where uh, uh, technology is their only outlet, and they become addicted to it. And like I said, this is all ages. It's really bad with young folks that right now, with the issue with cyberbullying and that kind of thing. Been a rise in that, teenage suicides that have been bullied online, and it seems to be one of the things is actually we had been talking a lot about AI recently, Jim and I have, and AI, artificial intelligence generated images and memes, and a lot of young people, well, young and old, a lot of people get most of their information off of uh, misinformed disinformation
Yeah.
memes. Social media is just rife with memes, and a lot of them are just blatantly lies. And some people actually get to a point where this is their reality, and so
Yeah.
there comes a time when there needs to be an intervention of some sort. If they can't get it,
So
counselors that
James is a,
specialize
is a
in it.
dad.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
James is a dad. So what does it mean like
Yeah,
in
yeah.
your domain, in your daddy domain?
Well, certainly as a parent, it's terrifying to what they have access to and at such
Hmm.
a young age. Personally, for me, on my family, we went through a divorce, and my children were, at times when they weren't with me, and I wanted to be able to speak with them when they were with their mom, and I wasn't able to all the time. So getting them phones became the easiest thing, but also such a dangerous thing as well. So I try to
Mm-hmm.
do the best I can with them, but certainly the exposure and what that's out there is it's just so easy to access information um, too easily that
Mm-hmm.
is not meant for people of all ages.
Certainly.
So that was frustrating by far. But my kids personally, I feel that they've actually done fairly well with social media. They haven't had many issues with it, but I think it's going to get worse for future generations.
Did you ever have to take a phone away?
Oh yes, oh yes, yeah. Probably I should have done it more often than I did,
Yeah.
uh, but yeah, without any issues either. Yeah. No, because that's their everything,
Yeah.
at this age or when they were younger. Um, and again, it's terrifying because you can't always babysit them when they're on it.
Right. Right. I was
Yeah,
just
that's a
telling
good
Jim.
point. It's their
Yeah.
everything, Tracy.
They're everything. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, they
It
do
it
their home.
becomes their
See, with my kids,
it becomes their pipeline to everything. You're right.
they don't. They've done their homework throughout high school on their phone for the most part. Their research, their letters, their submissions into the school. And I try to encourage them to sit and use a laptop, but they'd rather use their phone for
Mm-hmm.
most of the cases. Um, it's not going to help them in reality too. It's not going to help them for college. You won't be able to perform like that when you're in college, or in a regular 9 to 5 job, whatever you do. So it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out for this new generation.
well, that's the thing. It's like no matter what we do, no matter what we say about it, from a mental health aspect or therapists or the way we communicate with each other, it's here to stay. It's not
It,
going away.
it is.
And I can see a day, when I go to the coffee shop, and right now maybe 5 out of 10 of the people behind the cash register will give me eye contact. I can see a day where there's either nobody behind the cash register
Mm-hmm.
and I press buttons, or if there are, I get zero eye contact
Mm-hmm.
because
Yep.
they're,
Well, it's heading that
because
way.
they just don't know how to
Yeah.
have that.
It certainly is.
It's heading
Yeah.
that way now. I
One of
mean, it's
the
already heading that way.
one of the most terrifying perspectives I received on social media from another parent. I forget where. I like to give him credit, but in our generation, when we were in our school, there might have been one person who was really good at basketball or a particular activity or painting or whatever. And most people are competitive and they want to try to be the best. But these kids nowadays are competing internationally, right?
Mm-hmm.
There are people that are all over the world that they're trying to compete with. It's not reality. It's not possible. It's too much for them to understand. And I think that's what really affects their self worth.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I was talking with some. It's fun. It's something that you mentioned that, but I was talking with someone earlier today when you talk about competition, and it being global. In the context of where we're at with this digital issue, but a lot of the younger generation coming up, competition was not the same as it was many decades ago. Whereas every kid gets a trophy now. On the baseball, I've been to
Yeah.
baseball games in the last several years. Little league games and soccer games and stuff like that. Every kid got a trophy at the end of the season, not just the top
Mm-hmm.
scorers or the MVP or the whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Every single child got a trophy.
Like a finishing medal, right?
Oh, you made it to the end of the season.
Yeah,
Here you go. But the best
there you
kid on
go.
the team got the same
Yep.
trophy. And so,
Yeah.
and
Yep.
that kind of goes in same with the, we were talking earlier, it roughly fills in that same, void, if you want to call it, of, the instant gratification thing, where if someone doesn't have instant gratification, or they don't get gratification, whether or not they worked for it or not, then somehow they feel like they've been slighted, or there's something. I just wasn't good enough.
You know how many times I've gotten these finishing medals if I didn't place in an open water race,
Mm-hmm.
and in the end, those medals end up hanging somewhere. And my friend Diego gave me his basket of medals when he
Mm-hmm.
was a swimmer in Cartagena. And weighs like 20 pounds
Mm-hmm.
of medals. He just gave them to me
Oh,
because he's like a brother to me.
look at
But
here. Look at
it's
here.
kind of like, what the value of a medal is now? You
Uh,
finish the race,
yeah.
you get in front of a camera, you take a picture with your medal, and it goes on Facebook, and then the medal goes in the
Well,
basket.
can you see this one? You know what that is?
Yep.
I can't. It's all pixelated. I can't see it. Yeah.
That's one of my Spartan
What
medals.
is it?
Before my back went out
That's
on
pretty
me,
cool.
I was a mud runner. So I
Wow.
You're
finally
still a mud runner in your bare feet.
I know that's true. That's true. I've got to be grounded somehow. So so we were just before you came on, James. We also said that there was something odd about, well, maybe not odd, but ironic, that when someone has to go through digital detox, and there is counseling available for that. There are counselors that specialize in that. They work in the field of helping people with that. But we mentioned that there's also a plethora of counselors that offer that same counseling for digital detox. It's offered online. So you're talking about you're offering a treatment for an online addiction online.
Oh wow. Yeah.
That's true.
Imagine
It's true.
that.
Yeah. Yeah.
How ironic. Yeah. No, never mind going cold turkey, huh?
I don't, I
Well,
don't
I'm
know.
glad they have those services, but that's ridiculous.
It's crazy. Well, when it comes to digital detox, and Jim and I, and you probably, I'm sure you already know that, he's a open water swimmer, and he's into music and playwriting and all that stuff, and I tell him all the time, one of the main things that I used to do those mud runs, but I spend a lot of time in my garden. I have 2 acres out here in the woods, and I've got 14 cats, and every morning.
Wow.
When my coffee is cooking, I go out in the back of the property in my bare feet and walk around by the garden. Those cats are right behind me.
Yeah.
They follow me all out in the yard.
Yeah. And that
My
list
cat's sitting right down here, staring at me. You can come on up if you want.
that list of
She
Mr.
heard you.
Alabito. Don't forget, you got to add, I think you said writer already, poet, and then actually a model. He's a model, right, Jim?
Yeah, I do a little bit. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Mr. Alabito's got quite a resume.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jack of all trades, master of zero.
You're selling yourself short.
The thing is, though, I'm going to go back to what you said earlier, Tracy. It's kind of like, we kind of use what we see on our social media platforms, people's posts, and everybody's happy, or that person's always sad or something, and it's kind of like it's not a good reflection of what life is really like. Because I don't ever post anything like, my heart is broken, or or I'm suffering through this, and I just don't want to spread that. So probably people think, that follow me, if anybody actually does, is they probably think I live this wonderful, glorious life, which is just not true. It's like, even like on next week's Wednesday show, we're going to be talking about uh, uh, us folks that are taking care of our parents, parental care mode. As you get older, you kind of switch roles, right? You take care of your parents, and that's a happy and honorable thing to do.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm not swimming. I'm not watching my favorite show. I'm taking my mom to the store, or talking to her on the phone, or doing this for her, or trying to be patient when she can't hear what I'm saying, you know. That's going to be next week when we,
Oh, good.
uh, yeah, it's going to be fun. But anyway, we're all kind of like aspiring to be something. Like, you know, I want to be somebody. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to picture that day when I walk into the coffee shop and the person actually looks up and I get to do my Robert De Niro. You talking to me? So, by the way, you know, I wore this shirt for a reason. Does anybody remember Ally McBeal?
Oh
Sure
yeah.
do.
Yep.
Yeah. So do you know why? Do you know why why the dancing baby was there? What the dancing baby, what the metaphor was?
Mm-mm.
Nobody knows.
What was it?
So it was kind of vague back then. It's still vague now, but the reason why the producers put it up there and the writers put it up there was to remind her of her biological clock.
Mm.
Every time that baby danced, it reminded her that someday, whatever she's doing or striving to be right now, it was going to falter, come to an end, or change, or something or other, right? And so I like to wear this shirt often just to remind me of that, you know, because everything's going to change.
Mm.
Our society's going to change.
Yeah.
Our climate's going to change, for God's sakes,
Mm-hmm.
and our biological, individual biological clocks are ticking, but our generational biological clocks are ticking too. You
Yeah.
know, it's like when I was growing up, I remember, guys, I remember the first time I saw the Beatles. I was a little kid. I think I was 10 years old, maybe 9 years old. I think I was 9 years old. They landed in America for the first time, and they were walking down the stairs from the airplane. And I was next door at a play date with my friend Constance Middlestat. I remember her name and everything. We were sitting at the kitchen table, and a newspaper was on the table, and all I can think of was Constance. I was like, look at their hair, because you know they had that mop top cut. It wasn't even long hair then; it was
You're
just
right.
like a bowl cut,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know. And I was like, that's so silly. And little did I know they would have like this huge influence, you know,
Wow.
on my life, you
Sure.
know, and everything changed because of that, you know. But as we grow older and we change and our kids change and our aspirations change, or maybe we, you know, wanted to achieve something in our lives and we realize that it's just not going to happen, you know, I'm too old or whatever, like that phrase you like, Tracy, and aged out or whatever. You know, it's like I'm just
I know.
never going to be a rock and roll star, you know, no matter what, how many guitars I have. But
Yeah. I quit. I
Hey,
quit
hey
playing.
guys, I
I
want to
quit
thank you
playing.
very much.
I quit playing in the clubs years ago. Years ago. Yeah. I just didn't have it in me anymore. I know there's a
he's an
lot of
old
guys.
rock and roller, you
Well,
know.
I know there's a lot of guys my age that are still beating on the drums and everything. I just got tired of doing
Yeah.
it. You know, dragging those damn things around, setting them up, playing them for 4 hours, breaking them back down. You know, I just got
Yeah.
tired of doing it. Got tired of doing it. So I've got me a cajon. That's the only thing I
Hey,
slap on now.
hey guys,
James has got.
I'm gonna jump off. I'm gonna keep watching, but I gotta go take care of something with the kids. All right.
All right,
All
man.
right.
Glad you could make it.
I'm still watching.
Thanks for jumping in, buddy.
Thanks for
See you
inviting.
later.
Bye
All
bye.
right. Bye. Bye. Yeah. I love working with James. He's a great person to work with. And he brings candy to work all the time. Well, I just think that only time's going to tell, you
Right.
know, and I probably won't be around to see what my kids are going to be like. I mean, I have grandchildren, but I don't know what they're going to be like when they're 20, and, and whether they're going to be looking people in the eye or not, or whether they're just going to be connecting digitally or what. The only good sign that I have found is that a lot of stores are doing away with those do-it-yourself cash register checkout things.
Mm-hmm.
To me, that's a good sign.
Yeah. Well,
It means
you know,
absolutely nothing, but it's a
you know,
good sign.
Well, we were saying, before too, that it was already heading that way where you it wouldn't be any more cashiers. You'd push buttons to get your food, and well, it's already heading that way. And the self checkouts, well, that's already starting to be a problem with a lot of the companies. They haven't been able to master that thing. They've a lot of
Yeah.
merchandise
Well,
has been
people don't like
lost,
them.
and people hate them. And that's another thing too
Yeah.
about
You either
about
love
with
them or you hate them.
I don't like them, especially if you got a lot of stuff. But I mean, they're not a big deal to
Yeah.
me. But there are people that
Yeah.
like we were talking about. We're going to be discussing Jerry Care or grand plans next week. That's
Right.
another thing that a lot of folks, elderly folks, they get frustrated at those self checkout lines. I know for a fact, firsthand knowledge, and the
But
use
we're
of
going to have a good special guest too. We're going to have
yeah.
Susanna Barton.
Oh yeah,
She's got a book out,
uh-huh. Yeah. Written
so she can
she
talk about
writes
her
quite
book and talk about this.
she writes quite a bit and has workshops as well.
Yeah. Well, she's got a book out how to mitigate Jerry drama in 20 easy steps. I always say 25. It's 20 easy steps, and it's really going to be about and I know you're doing this, I'm doing this. I know
Mhm.
Reese will probably be on with us next week.
Yeah.
Um, uh, are taking care of our parents now, and what an
Yeah.
honor it is to do that. But it requires patience and a little bit of know-how
Well, you're
and
right. You're
paying
right.
it back.
It's
You know?
it's an honor to be able to do that. It's an honor to do it, but it's also it's also an honor and a privilege to be able to do it. If yeah,
Yep.
there's there's some elderly folks out there that have already lost their children, and so for us to still be around
Oh,
for
by the
them.
way, while we're kind of talking about next week's show,
Yeah, yeah.
my mama, she's 96.
Mm-hmm.
She's 96, and I might be sitting in the restaurant with her, and guess what she's doing? She's got an iPhone and an iPad, and she knows how to use emojis, and she's 96. But she looks at me, and I look at her,
Right,
and we
right.
have eye contact.
That's
Right?
fantastic. That's
Good to see you,
fantastic.
buddy.
That is fantastic. I tell you what. I tell you what. It's been a pleasure talking to you. We had some good discussion tonight. I'm glad we had James join us, and I'm looking forward to next week's discussion.
All right, man. We'll see you then.
Take care of
Thanks
yourself.
for tuning in, everybody.
That's right. That's
Cheers,
right.
mates. Bye. Look each
Bye.
other in the eye.
Exactly. Well, that's a wrap. Another fantastic episode of the podcast. You can find us on all the social media platforms, wherever you surf, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter X, Threads, wherever. Don't forget to like, share, and comment. And on our YouTube channel, don't forget to like, share, comment, and smash that subscribe button. If you're streaming audio for the podcast, you can find us wherever you get your favorite podcast programs. In the meantime, I like to tell everybody, take care of yourselves and each other. Until next time, peace.